I'm with you. Papa so funny. Up here, I mean, you're on TV. I stand out and I stand. Yeah. Okay, we're going to call our meeting to order. Official. And we'll just ask everyone if you can start to come to join us to call our meeting to order. Thank you. It's nice to hear all the excitement in the room, but we want to get started and get you guys out of here on time. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to start with our Pledge of Allegiance. And if you could please join me. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. Mrs. Sugars, could you please call roll?
Mrs. Stratton,
Here.
Mrs. Fleischer,
Here.
Mrs. Gallagher,
Here.
Mr. Greenbaum,
Here.
Mr. Mayor,
Here.
Dr. Root,
Here.
Mrs. Tong, Mrs. Winters,
Here.
Mrs. Stern.
Here. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Malash for board recognition.
Thank you, Ms. Stern. I appreciate, I'm very excited for the board recognition. Again, this is 2 meetings in a row that the board is doing recognition of some of our incredible students for activities in which they participate beyond the course of the school day. So this evening, we are going to recognize, and the board's going to recognize the marching bands from both High School East and High School West for their award-winning seasons. So I think Mrs. Wilson, we're going to begin with High School West. So Mrs. Wilson, if you would meet me up at the podium, and I know Jim Mark, who's the director of the marching band at High School West, is here. Mr. Mark, if you would also join us. And just for a little housekeeping, the way that we go through this, we'll introduce Mr. Mark. Mr. Mark will say a few words about the experience this year for the marching band. Go through, he will introduce all the students who are here this evening to be recognized. We have certificates for them. I will stand up, we'll bring the kids up, look at the certificates, kind of line up in front of where the board is. After we introduce everybody, we'll do another round of applause. Mrs. Wilson will take them down to the boardroom to do a picture. We will then welcome up Mr. Kelleher. We'll do the same thing for the students from the marching band from High School East. Same thing with the picture. You all are more than welcome to come back and join us for the rest of the meeting. If the kids have homework, I understand that has to be done too, but you are all welcome to come back down here for the meeting. And we'll also this evening be recognizing Miss Katina Anthony, who's the girls soccer coach from High School West. So Mr. Mark, let me bring these up to you. So again, Jim Mark is the instrumental director at High School West, the marching band director. I know that some of his associates are here who helped to direct the band, and he's going to fill us in on the great accomplishments with the band this year. So Mr. Mark.
Thank you, Dr. Malash. It was an outstanding year for our marching band. If you don't know, we spent about 10 years not being a marching band, just being a pep band. We resurrected the marching band about 5 years ago when Dr. Morton was at the school, and it was great. It was a great opportunity to get things back and rolling. I've had a great staff. My lovely wife from Rosa, I brought on as a Mrs. Sue Mark as a color guard instructor. And as I said, we managed not to wring each other's necks throughout these 5 years. And then Mr. Chris Miller came in and worked with our percussion and wrote our drill and did a great job with all that. So it's a great staff, even though we're a small staff. We looked at some of the things with some of the groups that we compete against, and bands that we beat have staff members of 10, 11, 12 staff members, and we have 3. And I think that's a pretty great great thing for us to be able to do with small amount of staff that we have. So anyway, our season started in last June with a 3-day mini camp, and then we went through some summer rehearsals, a 2-week camp in August, and then it was time to get down to it. We got into the competitive season in the tournament of bands. We won our first 2 shows we were in. One got rained out. And then we were up against some heavy hitters from out of state and from other regions, and I think we came in second at that show. And then it was the chapter championships, and we were the Region 1 champions in TOB in Group 2A, which was a phenomenal experience, especially just being back into it for 5 years. And then the next week we came in 4th out of 16 bands at the New Jersey State Championships. And it was not just we can't as a staff, take all the credit. We have phenomenal student leaders. We had great seniors. And it was a great collective effort because we had an immense amount of parent volunteers, parent, friends, relative volunteers that came out and help us as well. So it's become one big family at the school as far as the marching band goes. And hopefully that will continue as the years go down the road. So basically, it's a tribute to everybody that had a hand in making this happen. So everybody deserves a round of applause that's out there that had something to do with it. So am I just calling these names? Is that what I'm doing? Okay. Grace Allen. I don't think Grace is here. I didn't see Grace. Natalie Bedran. Amor Bishop. Saw him there. Essence Bishop. Annika Brody. Riley Burton. Jody Camba. Josh Camba. Elena Cote. Gabby Creighton, one of our drum majors. Evan Crescenzo. Emma Cruz. Julian Dapalone. One of our outstanding soloists, Owen Dodd. Matthew Douglas. Ariel Florent King. Nate Goldwasser. Ben Hess. Drew Hughes, another soloist. Finn Hutchinson. Our great soloist who was a showman all the time, Chase Johnson. Mary Kemner. Melanie Kemner. Justin Lansing. Zach Lipko. Zach Attack. Zach Attack. Olivia Madison. Alex Marone. Will Marone. Oh, Charlie Moncher. Charlie's sick. Gracie Moore's here. Gracie. Mahaya Knock. Gabe Panto. Our outstanding tenor soloist got a lot of credit this year for his tenor drumming, Ben Regal. Aubrey Roney. Macaroni Mummers. Zach Rosado. There he is. David Salvatorelli. Virgil Taylor. Our other drum major, she's teaching karate class right now, Tori Telshow. Molly Tepper. Alex Tweedy. Doa's not here. Doverall. Not here, right? I don't see her. Our outstanding, one of the best bass players I've ever had, Andrew Weiser. Affectionately known as Bud. And last, finally, Christina Weiss. She's not here. She's at a violin lesson in Philly.
Again, another special round of applause for Mr. Mark and the crew. For the marching band from High School West. And then, Mr. Mark, if you would join Mrs. Wilson and head down towards the boardroom in the front hallway, so we can do pictures for you. Yep, and the marching band members, Dr. Root, if you would show them, they can slide right out that side door. Thanks, pal. And now it gives me great pleasure to, for the board to bring up Mr. Tim Kelleher, who's one of the instrumental teachers at High School East and the longtime marching band director at High School East, to introduce us to his band and talk about the success that the marching band at High School East has had this year.
Thank you, Dr. Maloche, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Ed. This year's season was kind of a culmination for a lot of our upperclassmen and myself of a journey that started June 2020. If you remember, we had just had the lockdown, and I was on duty handing out equipment and instruments as the students were coming in after having been away from school. And I had some of the students who were standing back there telling me with tears in their eyes, one or two of them had tears, we're going to have a marching season next year, right? Well, we will have marching band. Well, we managed to have a 2020 marching season. Dr. Maloche might remember signing off on the field trip to go to the COVID Classic at Washington Township. That's what they called it. It was the only marching band festival, I think, in New Jersey. And we managed to keep the season going. And then into the next 2 seasons. This year, we competed at the Cavalcade Bands. Cavalcade Bands has different divisions. Our division was Group A. And at the New Jersey Group A championships, Cherry Hill East took the top score. So we'd like to recognize the achievement of these students. One of my staff is here, Ms. Jody Garnberg, if she could help me with the documents here. So we have other staff members who couldn't be here, but Mrs. Garnberg is going to help me with the pile that we have here. So first we have Yasmin Gonzalez. Jason Adams. James Alexander. Adam Behar, who I don't think is here. Okay. Marvin Balzer. Ben Bannett, drumline captain. Sani Bian. I don't think this is Miami Boa. I don't think she's here. Calvin Bush. I guess he's not here. All right. Emily Boyle. Yeah. Alexis Boyd. Well, we call him Danny. Daniel Cesar. Ian Chapman. Gabriella Chase. And she's not able to be here, but Assistant Drum Major Amanda Chen. Vienna Chen. I guess okay. Yeah. Sujata Chowdhury. Lucas Colazzo. Nathan Convisar. Sam Cronk. Ben Elliott. Griffin Ellis. Grace Fong. Eva Fields. Devin Gallagher. And also Philip Gorokovich is not here with us. Shreya Gupta. Dan Hoffman. Ryder Hawkins, not here. And Logan's not here. No Logan. And Logan Hoskins also not here with us. Jeremy Kerr, AKA Tank. Michael Kolichev. We got it right. Azra Kuchik. William Lamb. Connor Lossie, not with us today. Okay. And Sarah either, brother and sister. Lossie family. Tiffany Liu. Okay, and James McCarthy, not with us today. Okay. Allison Meyer, I don't think she's with us today either. Okay. Yeah. Is Danielle Malakapour not here? Okay. Matthew McCloskey. Michael McCormick. Ilea Mazulis is not with us today. Adam Mermina. Not with us. Aaron Mirowitz. Dash Music. Yeah, okay. Addison Mortor. Ni Win. Another brother, sister, Danielle and Aaron Ottenberg. Congratulations. Joshua Park. Not with us today. Sorry. Joy Pugh. Is Peyton Reeves with us? There she is. You lucked out. You got a seat. Elizabeth Rohr. Sagar Shah. Drum Major Evangeline Shim. And Juliana Stapleton, she's out sick. Kayla Tabarez. Winnie Tang. Not able to be with us. Is Cecilia Tavares. There's Cecilia. David Tribble. Assistant drum major at David Tribble. I will. Sehaj Varma. I don't know. I don't think. Okay. Yeah, I saw her. And Gabriella Watson. We used to have 110. We'll get done this tonight. Okay. Sarah Whitson. Sydney Jiang. Jerry Hugh. And our last one is Cecilia Zhang here. Yes. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and congratulations, Cherry East Marching Band.
Thank you, Mr. Kelleher. And again, congratulations to the marching band. Mr. Kelleher, if you and the students would head down towards the boardroom, Mrs. Wilson would love to get a picture of you all. Again, you're all welcome to stay or to return for the rest of the meeting. But if you have homework and stuff to do, we understand that as well. So thank you again. Congratulations.
There. I have tons of makes on anyway, so, you know.
And now I'm very excited to ask Mr. Mike Barrow, who's the District Director of Athletics, to join me at the podium. And coming up with Mr. Barrow is Miss Katina Anthony, who is the girls soccer coach at High School West. So Miss Barrow, Mr. Barrow, and Miss Anthony. Hello.
First, I'd like to start by congratulating both the marching bands from High School East and High School West, who I feel like for about 3 months of the year are part of the athletic department. So it's wonderful to get to see them each and every weekend perform. And it's a real treat for us. So I'm here tonight to present Miss Katina Anthony, who's a very dedicated staff member at High School West. For the past 7 years, she's been a health and phys ed teacher there. Currently, she's the head girls soccer coach. She's the assistant girls basketball coach, assistant girls track coach. She's the class of 2024 advisor, and she's the advisor for the Athletes Against Bullying Club. This year, Coach Anthony was voted by her colleagues from the South Jersey Soccer Coaches Association as the South Jersey Women's Coach of the Year. just a few quick notes. In her tenure, she's been the head coach there for the past 6 seasons. West Soccer has qualified for the playoffs in each of those years. She's been to the sectional final in 2017 and in 2023. And one of the great highlights is she's had almost 13, I believe it's 13 players go on to play at the collegiate level. This season, West Girls Soccer had a record of 13-7-4. They finished second in the Olympic Conference. They were the South Jersey Soccer Coaches Cup semifinalist, and they were the South Jersey Group 3 sectional champions, beating a Shawnee team that they had lost to twice during the season. It was a great day for West Soccer. For those of you who were there, it was just an unbelievable win in penalty kicks. And they were the New Jersey Group 3 state finalist, losing to state champion in penalty kicks. And we were about that far away from bringing home the gold trophy. She's had 6 girls this season were named first team All Olympic Conference, and 3 girls were named All South Jersey last night. So it was a great honor. Without further ado, Coach Katina Anthony.
Do I face this way? Right here? Hi, again, I just wanted to thank, obviously, administration, the Board of Ed, and my athletic director, Mr. Mike Brow, for everything he has done for me and for our program in order to be successful. Last night, I was awarded South Jersey Soccer Association Coach of the Year, which was, a great honor. I was very humbled by it. And I said last night at our banquet, I would be crazy to, stand and take the credit for myself. Some of my girls are here with me tonight, and I give all the credit to them. They make me a better coach and a better person. And without them, we simply couldn't do what we do. So again, all the credit goes to them. They get this award just as much as I do. So again, thank you all, and I hope you have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. She made it record time.
All right, Ms. Stern, that is all of the recognition for this evening. And I know Dr. Damon is here, principal at High School West, to support Miss Anthony and the marching band from High School West as well. So I'll turn it back over to you as we move into presentations.
Okay, well, that was a fantastic way to start our first meeting of the year. So now we are going to go on to presentations. And I believe that we're going to hear from Dr. Morton for a presentation tonight on the high school course of study. If this is, yeah, great.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Stern. All right, the high school course of study process is underway. Yesterday, we completed our third 8th grade high school course of study night. It was a great night that officially starts the process for our 8th grade students in transitioning to high school. So we did Carusi, followed by Rosa, and then Beck last night. So just to go through the timeline in and of itself. So the high school course of study process allows us to orient and transition our 8th grade students to high school, but it also signifies the process by which students at the high school level schedule as well for the courses that they will take in the upcoming school year. So the process starts in October, as you can see. Starts with the submission of new course proposals. Course proposals may be based upon student voice and student surveys and interest in particular courses. Staff members as well have an opportunity to write courses that they believe will be engaging and will allow us to further expand and bolster our course of study. So in November, we went through a process of approving new courses. The new courses that were approved, there were course descriptions written in December. We just completed the process of updating the actual course of study booklet itself. And that course of study booklet, you'll see in number 8, will be posted online at the district's website on January 16th. As I mentioned, we completed the 8th grade course of study nights. Carusi Middle School was January 4th. Rosa the 5th, and Beck was just last night, January 9th. So I mentioned new electives in the course of study. So we're excited about this year's offering of electives. We believe that they again will engage students, further their understanding and further their opportunities to learn and to grow. The first course that we've added for next year is Unified Art. So Unified Art provides students with an opportunity to work on different art mediums, whether it be two-dimensional or three-dimensional art, but general education, special education students combined in one classroom, builds upon some of the other unified sports, unified PE programming that we've seen much success with in the past. So we're excited about that course and excited to offer that for next year. Philosophy 1, Ethics and the Art of Thinking. So this course provides students with a foundation in ethical decision-making and moral reasoning. Definitely needed in this day and age. Students will learn the philosophical roots of ethical thought, ethical perspectives from around the world, and a frame for moral reasoning. Another course that I'm particularly excited about, Women's History in the United States from the 16th century to the present. An opportunity for students to learn about the pivotal roles that women have taken throughout the history in the development of this country. Another great course, Asian American and Pacific Islander Studies. Again, it allows students to further their understanding of the contribution of the AAPI community and understanding how different groups and different peoples have added to and helping to build this great country that we live in. And then the fifth course builds upon the success that we've seen in our African American Studies course. Always give thanks to the board for being brave enough to institute a graduation requirement and have students take African American Studies. Last year, we've seen much success with that course, but this is a course at the AP level that gives students an opportunity as well to take a full year in-depth study using the College Board's curriculum on AP African American Studies. Provides students with another opportunity, and students at the 9th grade level have an opportunity to jump right into an AP level course if they so choose. The graduation requirement course, the semesterized course, is still available as well. But again, we provide additional opportunities for our students. The way that this process works, and I think the entire sectioning process works, is that we truly want to have students tell us what courses they are most interested in taking. So students go through a process where they schedule courses. We take all that collection of feedback and information, and we build our courses based upon our current staffing allotment and based upon the interest that students have indicated on those course selection sheets. That process is coming up. That will be done in April. Myself, as well as the administrators from all of the high schools and some central office administrators as well, go through that process. So next steps. Again, I mentioned the course of study booklet itself will be available online January 16th at the district website. High school open houses are upcoming. High School East this year is trying something just a bit different. On January 17th, there'll be a virtual meeting where they'll focus on the academic programming. And then on January 26th will be more of like an activities fair, where students will have the opportunity to come in and truly get a sense of the clubs and activities and teams and opportunities for involvement that exist. Both of those will occur at 7 p.m. And then High School West will have their open house on January 18th. So that'll be an opportunity for students to learn about academic offerings as well as opportunities for involvement at the school also. For our middle school students, Genesis Parent Portal will be open February 6th. It'll be open until the 28th. This is also a time period where open enrollment forms are completed. Parents have an opportunity to select courses and to review teacher recommendations in the Genesis Parent Portal at the time. Once courses are submitted, if there are any inconsistencies or any errors parents, children may reach out to guidance counselors. Guidance counselors can still navigate and help them through that process and correct any errors. So no stress there. And then finally, the course request process closes on March 27th. So this is the process where high school students work with their guidance counselors, work with their families to select the courses that they are interested in taking for the coming school year. And I believe that is it. Questions?
Mrs. Fleischer.
Thanks, Dr. Morton. This was great. I don't know if you had mentioned this. Are all the electives available at East and West?
Yes, all of the electives that we've added are available at both East and West. They are, with the exception of AP African American History, which is a full year course, as per the College Board. The other courses are half-year courses or semesterized courses.
Other questions? Mrs. Winters.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say that I had the opportunity to attend your presentation at Rosa as a parent and as a board member, and the feedback I got was phenomenal from the families. Everybody's really excited about the next steps for their kids in high school. So I wanted to thank you for all the information that you gave us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a very exciting time.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Dr. Morton, thank you. And thank you to your staff for the time and effort in identifying courses and also ensuring that there is student interest in order to fill both, so that, you know, there are also efficient staff use of staff resources. One follow-up question on the AP African American study. That's a pilot.
It is.
And why is that one listed as a pilot as opposed to permanent? What will determine whether it will continue on as a permanent part of the curriculum?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. So the course itself is still in the pilot phase through the College Board. So I believe last year was the first initiation or first cadre of schools that they allowed to pilot this course. I had attended a workshop given by the College Board probably 3 years ago when they were initially drafting the curriculum for the course. And their sequence was the 21-22 school year to pilot it with a dozen schools. I'm not sure of the exact number, but there was a small number of schools. They've expanded it this year to include 100 plus schools across the country. And Cherry Hill, we were fortunate to be one of the districts afforded the opportunity to pilot the course.
Great, thank you.
Mrs. Gallagher.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. So I have a question about how do you conduct the surveys with the student and the staff to decide what courses you choose to offer? And then in that review of choosing new courses, do you also get rid of courses that maybe are underperforming or like low enrollment?
Yes. So to answer the first question first, so students are presented with a list of potential courses that may be of interest. So typically we match teacher interest in teaching a course with the list of courses that we'll send out to the children. So the Asian American and Pacific Islander Studies course, the women's history course, those are courses that students told us that they were interested in taking, which is sort of why they come forward and get presented first to me, and then go through a process to be presented to the superintendent and get approved. The second part of the question, courses that are extinct and are moving away, we have eliminated a few courses. We've eliminated a few courses this year because of shifts and courses that we introduced last year as part of our CTE program. So to align with CTE credentialing and protocol at the state, we did eliminate a couple courses from the book.
Any other board members have questions? Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Morton. I can tell you that I got a full report from one of my kids who was surveyed and thought the course should definitely not be offered. He'll be thrilled to know it's going to be in the course catalog this year. So, all right, thank you so much. We move on to administrative reports. Dr. Malash, do we have any administrative reports?
We actually do, Mrs. Stern. Thank you for asking. Mrs. Wethington has a follow-up from the P&L committee meeting from last week that she would like to deliver this evening that goes through and talks about, it's related to policy 8110, which is on the agenda this evening with attendance areas. So there's additional background information that had been discussed at the P&L committee meeting that she felt would be beneficial for everybody to see as we were going through tonight. So Mrs. Wethington, I'm going to turn it over to you. I believe you're going to share your screen.
Yes, Dr. Malash. Sorry, Dr. Mahan's gonna click for me. I'm not as coordinated as Dr. Morton, so I need a little assistance. So we talked about middle school redistricting a little bit in December. And just a reminder, in March 2022, when we completed the work of the middle school redistricting committee, we proposed the following school assignments, as you can see on your slide. We started to work on the implementation of middle school redistricting in September of this year. As we started that work, we looked at middle school projections. I just want to remind the board that when we did the initial middle school redistricting work, we were looking at data, and there's actually a data notes tab in that presentation that anyone could find on the website that talks about how we pulled that data. And we pulled it looking at 2016-17 to 2019-20 student data. So when we moved on to looking at implementation, we looked at current data from December 2022. When we did that, we projected for a few years out and looked at the total enrollment in 25-26 and saw quite a disparity between enrollment at Rosa and the enrollment at Carusi based on that proposed assignment. Technical difficulty. Hold on a moment. Okay, there we go. So at the December 6th meeting, we made an administrative recommendation to assign night to Rosa Elementary School in lieu of Carusi Elementary School so that we would have more equitable numbers distributed between Beck, Carusi, and Rosa. And if that were the case, then you see at the bottom of your screen in the 2025-26 numbers, we would have 877 students at Carusi, 697 at Beck. Beck did not change, and Rosa would then be at 772 students. So I'm going to talk a little bit about demographic projections. Again, these projections are based on students currently sitting in chairs in Cherry Hill Public School District. We ran this data as of December 2022. So I'm going to start talking about Beck. We have no plans to make any changes to Beck. So the Beck school assignments that you saw on the slide are the same ones that we presented in March 2022. There will be no changes to Beck, but this is just Beck demographic information for the current academic year. And then we also did projections for Beck for the next 3 academic years. So here's Beck projections for 2024. You'll see demographic projections and then economically disadvantaged student projections. And then for 24-25. And then for 25-26. So moving on, we also have current year data for Carusi. So this is Carusi's 22-23 data. And then Rosa's 22-23 data, current academic year. So we looked at night And we looked at two options, moving night to Carusi, moving night to Rosa. The administrative recommendation was to move night to Rosa. So I just want to show you a comparison of the data for 23-24 if night were at Carusi versus Rosa. You will see that there are differences in some of the students of color, but if you look at the green numbers, 52.18% for night at Carusi and 51.97 for students at Rosa. Those would be the number of students who are white students, not students of color. In 25-26, you have another comparison. 24-25. So we're going to move on from racial demographic information to now economically disadvantaged. I just want to go back to the definition of economically disadvantaged. This is the definition that we used in the original presentation from December 2021 when we presented the original middle school redistricting plan. Students were eligible for free or reduced meals based on their applications, and that's a federal national school lunch program definition. So in 23-24, if night were at Carusi, Carusi would be about 25% economically disadvantaged students, and if night were at Rosa, Rosa would be about 15%. For 24-25, if night were at Carusi, about 23%, and if night were at Rosa, about 16%. 25-26, night at Carusi, about 21%, night at Rosa, about 16%, almost 17%. And then we just wanted to briefly touch on special education. So the recommendation to move night to Rosa would give us the opportunity to create special education, special programs, special class programs at all three middle schools that were more comparable. A lot of comments that we get from parents of kids with disabilities is that I live on the west side of town, my child's in a special class, it's on the east side of town. It'd be great if we had a class on the east side. There are some things we cannot correct. We don't have enough students in some programs to be able to provide that in every school, but there are some programs that we would be able to give parents some flexibility to offer those options in another school in the district, which make, I think, a lot of parents much happier with the way that we're assigning students. And then this is just the original charge from the committee. This was almost 2 years ago, July 2021. They asked us to equitably redistrict middle schools, to be creative in our options, and then to have some kind of recommendation by December of 2021. Mrs. Fleischer, we're going to do questions during the P&L portion of the committee meeting.
Yes, Mrs. Wellington, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wellington. I don't know if you have anything further or.
I think that's it for now, Mrs. Stern.
Great.
I can answer additional questions during the P&L
During
portion.
P&L. That's great. Thank you so much. And Dr. Malash, will we have this presentation posted on our website for the public to view as well?
Yes, absolutely. It'll be up tomorrow sometime afternoon. We'll get it up and be ready to go. This presentation and Dr. Morton's presentation will both appear.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And we'll continue on in our agenda. And we move on to correspondence. Do we have any board members who have any correspondence? Ms. Elmore Stratton.
Thank you, Mrs. Stern. I was able to attend, as Ms. Winters did, I did the Carusi 8th grade night. And it was really good to see the parents and families that were in attendance. He broke it down the same way he broke it down for us tonight in terms of what to do. And I was very excited. And I think I said to Dr. Warren at the end, it's nice to hear all the things I think my son never told me when he was in high school. So that was great. And definitely reiterate that everything is basically on Genesis, like whatever question you have. And then as a kind of bonus to that, I was able to go down the hallway and it happened to be Cherry Hill traveling basketball middle school team there. So there was actually students from all of our middle schools playing against another team. And I probably look really odd just jumping in and cheering for the team. Several parents are probably looking at me crazy, but that was also an added bonus to be back at Carusi. So that was wonderful. And then just so everyone is aware, there was no CCES meeting for the month of January. We'll resume in February.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ms. Elmore Stratton. Other board members with correspondence? Mrs. Winters.
Thank you. I was at Cherry Hill East at the end of December for their East Instrumental Music Concert. It was phenomenal. I got to see the string and wind and percussion students from Cherry Hill High School East performing. It was actually really cool to see the growth from the fall preview concert to now. And I can't wait to go back in the spring and see more. And then, as I mentioned before, I also went to Rosa for the course of study night, which was amazing.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
So I had an excellent reason to have critically low caffeine levels right now, which is that I spent most of the day as one of the judges for the regional DECA competition in Cherry Hill. And while that wasn't exclusively for students Cherry Hill East and Cherry Hill West, there were a number of students at both East and West who were participants. It was wonderful to see how well prepared these kids were, how enthusiastic they were, mature. I learned after I was judging that one of the students who I did judge was actually a Cherry Hill West student. Fortunately, one who I didn't know and didn't recognize, otherwise I would have gently asked that he move to another judge so that it would appear to be fair for everyone. But he also exemplified what I saw in so many of these kids. Mature, well-prepared, confident. And if that's an indication of how well our staff is helping to prepare these kids to move on after high school, to be productive members of society, to speak to adults maturely, then we're in great shape, and the staff is doing a wonderful job. So it was really a wonderful day. I'm glad I did it.
Great, thank you. Any other correspondence? Okay, I have a few. I got a chance to go to the East-West varsity basketball game on December 30th. Saw Dr. Morton there. Mr. Barrow, who, when the game went into overtime, said this was the worst case scenario ever for him. It was a very friendly competition, and it was a great game. A lot of spirit, which was so nice to see. Obviously, a lot of students who know one another and faculty, et cetera. I'm not going to talk about who won. I'm just going to leave it at that. And we'll move on to, I got a chance to go to the Beck High School course of study night last night, which actually was my first time attending a high school course of study, even though I've had 3 high schoolers, because 2 of them went through it when there was a virtual course of study during COVID. And previously I had a child who was in special ed, so we never needed to go because we worked with the child study team on his courses. So it was an interesting experience for me. And I enjoyed it very much. There were a lot of staff there, a big showing, a lot of parents. It was an exciting night. And finally, I got a chance to stop in as well at DECA today at the regional conference, the South Jersey Gold Regional Conference. It's my first time at a DECA event, and it was pretty exciting and energetic. Ran into Liz Reyes there and a bunch of our other students that I know, as well as some great staff from East and West. It was very exciting, and it was a long day, though. I stopped by to see Mr. Mayor as well. It was a long day, so, but kids were very energetic and enthusiastic, so it was a fun night, a fun day. So, okay, so that, I think we'll finish our correspondence unless we have any others, and we will move on to our first public comment. There will be 2 opportunities for public comment this evening. The first public comment session is for board action items only, items 17 through 21. There will be another public comment section for any topic at the end of the meeting. If you are a student in the district, you may comment on any agenda item during the first public comment period. If you are a student and you're in the room, and you'd like to make a public comment, we would encourage you to approach the podium first. If you are a student and you're online, if you would kindly put an S at the end of your name to identify yourself as a student, so we will know to call on you first. And we always start in the room. So I'm going to invite anyone who'd like to come up to the room, to the podium for public comment, to please approach. And as you're working on coming up, if someone is, please feel free to approach. I do want to read the statement that we always like to make. The Cherry Hill is a community that values education, and educational topics often bring out a passionate response. The Cherry Hill Board of Education supports a school climate in which our diversity is a source of strength and all are included. Respect is foundational in how we treat you, how we treat one another, and how we support our administration and staff in their essential work. So please join us in practicing the utmost respect for all. So when you come to the podium, if you would please identify your name and your locality.
Am I on? Yeah, okay. Good evening. My name is Andrew Rossi and I reside in
I
Cherry.
apologize. This is my first time running this meeting and I
Likewise.
forgot to ask you to please identify the action item as well. I apologize.
The action item
Yes.
about the redistricting.
Okay, it's 23.1.
21,
21.
21.3, 23.
I didn't memorize them. Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry,
Okay.
continue on.
Good. Okay. My name is Andrew Rossi and I reside in Cherry Hill. I'm here tonight to give feedback on the proposed option to move ARK from Carusi to Rosa. The plan was quickly reintroduced this past December with no discussion of the relevant data that fueled the redistricting effort from the beginning. After reviewing the options again, as well as considering the economic data provided by the administration in prior meetings, I feel obligated to speak up. The purpose of the We Are One Cherry Hill campaign is to promote inclusivity, diversity, and equitable performance in our schools. The option to move ARK to Rosa is out of sync with this message. The administration stated they would like to eliminate the perception that one middle school is better than the other. Redistricting ARK to Rosa creates the perception that two schools are better than the other. There would be a significant difference in the income of families attending Carusi and the families attending Rosa and Beck. ARK is the school with the smallest percentage of students that qualify for free or reduced lunch out of all the schools that currently send to Carusi. Sending the ARK students to Rosa only widens the gap between Carusi and the other two schools. Redistricting Cherry Hill Middle Schools based on the geographical proximity divides the town based on wealth. It creates one school with an extremely large percentage of economically disadvantaged students and two other schools with a large economically advantaged population. Based on the charts provided, the threat becomes a split between one underperforming school, the one with the largest economically disadvantaged population, and two economically advantaged schools who, based on the newest NJSLA scores from 2022, perform very well, Rosa in particular. When you look at last year's fourth grade NJSLA test scores, ARK ranks second in the district's elementary school in English language arts. It also performs extremely well in math, better than the other sending schools that make up Carusi Middle School. Removing Russell Knight from the Carusi population will have an extremely detrimental effect. Carusi is admittedly struggling based on its NJSLA scores from last year, and the loss of the highest scoring students will create an even weaker student population with regards to testing. The decrease in NJSLA scores will decrease the ratings people see when they look at homes on the west side of town. This will have negative consequences such as decreasing property values, as well as encouraging parents who are able to afford it to send their children to private school. I have a lot more, but Russell Knight is geographically closer to Rosa than any of the other schools that currently send to Carusi. However, because of Rosa's location at the corner of Browning and Crescent Roads, the students from ARK will have to ride a bus to get to school, regardless of what middle school they attend. Walking is out of the question for these students. Their bus ride to Carusi will take 5 minutes longer than a bus ride to Rosa.
Thank you so much for your public comment. Okay, and we'll go to the line, and the first number is 489-9788. If you could please identify yourself, your locality, and the item on the agenda that you are addressing.
Hello, my name is Jeff Podowitz, and I'm doing 17.5 public comment 1. Can you hear me? I hope so.
Yes.
Solicitor school project. Whereas the public comment law authorized the awarding of a contract for professional services without competitive bidding. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education that John Palladino be appointed the solicitor of this board to provide school construction projects, legal services, etc. Is this going to be paid from bond funds and thus part of the 25% soft cost, or is it an additional soft cost being funded elsewhere in our budget? $300 million of our school bonds were sold December 2022. 25% of that, or $75 million, will be going to soft costs. The vast majority of construction products over the next year will be related to bond funds. Will this solicitor be involved in these projects? Since we are already in, this is already in the calculations in the bond. Would these additional funds from our budget, capital reserve funds, need to be used to pay for this solicitor? This is a question I hope the school board and discusses before 17.5. I guess the bottom line question is this money going to come out of the bond funds, which has money set aside for soft costs, which is this, or are we paying for it differently? That's my question, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Podowitz. And we'll go back to the room. If anyone would like to make a public comment in the room, please approach the podium. Hi, if you please give your name, your municipality, and the item on the agenda that you are addressing tonight.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Comives. I live in the Barkley Farm area. I'm not sure the exact municipality. And the topic, again, forgive me, I don't know the number. It's about the middle school redistricting.
21.3.
21.3. My feeling is that I've experienced firsthand some overcrowding in our current school. I have a 4th and 1st grader. And I really don't believe that property value or skin color or demographics or background have an effect on how children learn and how teachers teach. I feel that the best option, and I support the option of having the schools redistrict such that the classroom sizes are manageable. I believe that's the best way for children to learn. I believe that's the best way for teachers to effectively teach when they can manage their classroom. I've seen firsthand from speaking to our current teachers, parent-teacher conferences, et cetera, and even hearing my children say, like, our room's crowded. There's desks everywhere. There's stuff everywhere. There's kids everywhere. And I really just feel that putting economic situations, incomes, house values, to me, all that's backseat to teachers' ability to learn, teachers' ability to teach, and children's ability to learn. And I just personally feel that that's best done with a less crowded classroom. So therefore, I really support and hope to see the solution where it has less crowded classrooms. Really, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody, for your service and time on this. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to the line, and the phone number is 220-7891. If you could please state your name, your municipality, and the item on the agenda that you are addressing tonight. Looks like we might have lost that person, so we will now go to the next person who is up on the line, and that's Laura Pendergast. If you could please state your name, your municipality, and the item on the agenda you're addressing.
Hi, I'm Laura Pendergast, Cherry Hill, and I'm going to be speaking about redistricting. And first, I wanted to say that I deeply appreciate the attention in the presentation tonight to special education. There's a lot of parents tonight that have really strong feelings about middle school. And as a whole, I think that most people want their kids in neighborhood schools close to home. On a Facebook page not affiliated with the district, one parent raised a possibility for discussion about Kingston going to Beck. And once again, Kingston spoke loud and clear they don't want to go to Beck. And I agree with them. They should not go to Beck. It's too far. Kingston should absolutely not go to Beck. I don't think the board was even considering that. But I raise that to say that lots of folks get really upset about being bused far away from their neighborhoods. However, being bused far away from their neighborhoods is really common for our special education students. It's really the status quo. So the very issues that so many parents are upset about possibly happening to their child is normal for our kids with disabilities. It doesn't have to be, and we should not accept for special education students what we won't accept for regular education kids. So what I would like to say, ask for the BOE in this redistricting process is to ensure that all kids have access to inclusion and self-contained options in all 3 middle schools. Let's make it the norm for our special education kids to remain in their home school, and it shouldn't be the exception. Thank you for all of your work on this. And thank you for your attention to special education. That's what I have to say tonight.
Thank you. And we'll go back to the room. If anyone would like to speak, please approach the podium. Thank you. And you give your name, your municipality, and the item you're addressing tonight.
Amanda Greenstein, Cherry Hill, 21.3. I wrote to the board, Dr. Maloche and Ms. Wethington, last night, and you all know my feelings by now on the redistricting. I'm coming up here tonight to ask 2 questions that I do appreciate Ms. Wethington tonight after last week's conversation, adding more depth and more detail to the presentation. But you're saying that in September 2022, you knew that the option chosen last February was a problem. Why was that information not released at a meeting before this town went and voted for a historical bond? I know that answer because that bond would not have passed. Why would you keep that in the dark and have a bond vote and a vote for the Board of Education, where I deeply regret my vote because I thought that that decision could not be overturned, and not 1, but 2 Barkley parents with skin in this game now sit in these chairs making these decisions for my sons. In tonight's presentation, I would also like to know why no one is showing what happens to Carusi once Knight is removed. I'm a lifer of this town. My boys are 3rd generation. I'm now faced with tasking Lisa Arcano to sell my home, to leave this school district because of the disappointment and the heartbreak I am feeling. I feel like I was duped to vote for that bond, especially knowing that this was a problem in September 2022. Last year, before Gina Winters was appointed to this board, on a public Facebook post, she said, the problem, missed the wrong one. Oh my God. That ARK overcrowds both Rosa and Carusi. ARK is not the only school that is that problem. And that is why it is in the best interest of this board to do what is right, to do the hard work, to stop kicking the can down the lane, and to do elementary school redistricting first. Again, I know the answer why that's not done. That will decimate the east side of Cherry Hill, and that will decimate Barkley Farms neighborhood. And as usual, that I stood at a board meeting 20 years ago, fighting for why West deserved a chance. West deserves a chance again, and we need to stop putting the east side ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to the line, and we have Liz. If you could please state your full name, your municipality, and the item you're addressing tonight on the agenda.
Hello, good evening. My name is Elizabeth Hickman from Camden. Wanted to speak about action item 21.3. The district has failed to meet its own stated goal for this middle school redistricting. The district stated one of the goals was to, and I'm quoting their own words, provide resources, opportunities, and experiences for our students to connect to the world beyond their classrooms. I haven't heard or read anything from the district about how they intend to reach this goal. Will resources, i.e. money, be provided to students for outside tutoring, for access to an outside art program or exhibit? We haven't heard anything about this, so now I must conclude the district doesn't have a plan, and therefore they have failed to meet their own goals they told us they would accomplish. I'm also concerned that the district's plan will harm our students in the special ed programs. The current plan is not integrating our students in special ed programs into the general ed settings. There are students in LLD, BES, MD, and many of the autism programs who need to be with their peers. Secluding them is stunting their learning. This is why we need a new view in this. And for all these reasons, I'm asking the board to not approve the district's plan. Make the district go back to square one and come up with a better plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go back to the room if anyone would like to approach the podium.
Ann Einhorn, Cherry Hill. I'm speaking on policy 21.3. I do not agree with moving night school to Carusi at this time, mainly because this whole process of eliminating the lottery at Rosa before having a plan in place for enrollment of students has been quite the debacle, coupled with not pursuing elementary school redistricting. The GRIP report is glaringly inaccurate when full-day kindergarten was not included in the numbers, and now there's potential of all-day pre-K. There was no discussion on the housing primarily being built on the west side of Cherry Hill to be finished beginning as soon as this year. You need a new demographic study. You need to continue the work of elementary redistricting. I am very curious to know where the 700 extra students were placed in our school district, elementary, middle, high school. What schools and grade levels were affected? I also adamantly disagree with the comment from the December 6, 2022 Board of Ed meeting that there was plenty of time for discussion. Where does the public fall into that discussion? Within 8 weeks, one being a vacation week, when will there be truly adequate time for public input? And now tonight, I hear new information, and fortunately, this information is going to go back up on the website because it's been missing. Forgive me. There was a social posting media last year, and there is a sitting board member, but I'm going to quote because I don't think this has been fully discussed. 2 problems with option 1, there won't be enough, and I quote, 2 problems with option 1, there won't be enough room for a variety of special ed programs at Rosa. There just won't be the space. And sending night to Rosa is detrimental when you look at the district's demographic data, which is inaccurate for Rosa and Carusi. This board is single-handedly pitting one neighborhood against another, and it's not a good look. And also there's a part of me says that as we move forward with the plan that you propose, we're going to have more segregation of our economically disadvantaged students, and then that will create chronic disparities in opportunity. That's not fair to any student. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm looking at the line. I do not see any hands raised. So we'll go back to the room. If there's anybody in the room who would like to speak.
Laurie Neary, Cherry Hill. I'm speaking with regard to 21.3. I'm here tonight because I am deeply, deeply dismayed and concerned. I think this needs to come to a full halt. And I say that full well knowing that we pulled the lottery on Rosa. But we have come nowhere in over a year to move the needle to make it better. We didn't deeply understand, and I have onus in the decision of pulling the lottery and understanding why it was so toxic. And after last week's committee meetings and the shocking statements made, I think it all comes together quite clearly now. When we can say to our board, as a caution, you can't give more to some students than others because it might upset some parents. How exactly then for 10 years have you been supporting the students at West and Carusi? All of those students, they're not. That's the answer. That says we're not. And we don't plan to. And that explains why the schools look like they do, why the culture and climate is deteriorating, why they are not performing. Well, we can choose to debate which measure is correct and the test stinks and don't look to great schools. People do. They do matter. And I follow the same measure over time for 14 years. And when West was a 6 when I moved here and it's a 3 now, well, guess what? East has fallen too. It was a 9. It's a 7. It just had further to fall. Now what we are doing is I am deeply saddened that my community members are fighting with one another instead of addressing the real problem. They are fighting to not go there because the opportunities are not equitable. They are not equal. The students' outcomes are not the same, and we're not even trying. That is the harsh reality that no one wants to look in the mirror and take a hard look at that. And that's why they're fleeing, because we're not doing our job. Well, guess what? I took the time. I contacted Ed Law in December and legal counsel about next steps to put a stop to this. If it means go back to the lottery, and I know I'm the person here saying that, then do it. But do not decimate the community any further or the children, and recognize where the real problem is. That our district and the leadership fail to support the students because clearly they don't believe in it. Or you wouldn't make that statement. Or you wouldn't say, I don't understand what the goals are, which means you're not working towards them. So how can you possibly make it better? So if we don't stop it, we'll put a plan in place to do that. But I implore the board to do the right thing and then turn and look at what the real drivers are. Thank you.
Thank you. And it looks like we have someone on the line. We have Kate R. If you could please say your full name, your municipality, and the item you're addressing on our action agenda.
Yes, hi, my name is Kate Rogalchuk. I'm from Cherry Hill, and I'm speaking on 21.3, the policy 8110. I would like to thank you for presenting some specific data on the middle school redistricting plan currently being voted on tonight. I do think these slides would have benefited us a month ago when we first heard about this plan. I agree with Amanda Greenstein that the presentation does seem skewed to what the district wants us to see. Why is there no graphic of the difference of Carusi with Russell Knight versus without it? I also want to point out that although the slides were moving pretty quickly, it seems that there are a few years before Carusi would even be overcrowded, the year 25, 26. So that tells me that we have some time to leave the plan in place of leaving Russell Knight at Carusi and go back to redistrict elementary. Clearly, there are other areas that need to be looked at with the elementary schools that could be opportunities to fix the middle schools. But if we do the middle schools now and then do elementary at some point, which they have to be, because I'm hearing from a Barkley parent, a man a few speakers ago said his class from Barkley Farm, they're overcrowded. So we need to go back and look at that. I want to make another point about Ms. Wethington's slides. It looks like in that year of 25, 26, with Russell Knight at Carusi, it would put Carusi's numbers at 1102, which is about 93% of the 1190 capacity. And then if you look at, if you have Russell Knight at Rosa, instead at that same year, 25, 26, it puts Rosa at 772, I believe, out of 806, which is about 96% full. So that's even more overcrowded at Rosa with Knight at Rosa versus Knight at Carusi. I'm just saying, again, the information seems skewed to what you want us to believe. I just want the board to be urged to look at the elementary schools. I do think Amanda makes another point about to Russell Knight sending parents, Mr. Mayor and Ms. Winters, are they going to abstain from the vote? I do think that is a conflict. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go back to the room if anyone would like to approach the podium. I think you know what to do.
Alana Yaris, Cherry Hill. I'll jump on board 21.3. I just wanted to speak about the policy 8110 and how it talks about boundary lines for high school. But I was emailing back and forth with administrator in the district who said that there are no boundary lines for high school. So I think the policy should be looked at to possibly have that language removed, since there are no boundary sending guidelines for high school. Second, this policy allows there to be no open enrollment for middle school, but there will be open enrollment for high school and open enrollment, although without transportation, for elementary school. And if we're offering open enrollment for elementary school, why are we not also offering open enrollment for middle school? And if we're not going to offer open enrollment for middle school, maybe we should remove it from elementary school as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go back to the line, and it's Julie R. If you could please say your full name, your municipality, and the item on the action agenda that you are addressing tonight. Julie, if you could please unmute yourself if your hand is still up. Okay, it looks like we're going to go to the next hand that is up, which is Craig Becker. If you could please state your name, your municipality, and the item you're speaking to tonight on our agenda.
Hi, it's Beth Becker. Sorry. Cherry Hill. So agenda item 21.3. So many thoughts, but first of all, I feel like this whole middle school redistricting process has been very cart before the horse. The lottery, as much as I felt like it needed to end, should not have ended without a plan in place for how it was going to work. And this feels rushed, trying to jam a square peg into a round hole in order to meet, the deadline. I'm glad to see that even with the change, the district is committed to providing as many special education programs as possible in a student's home school, to have those programs equitable across the district. I echo everything that Laura Pendergast said about that. And I look forward to following this closely and holding you to it. I appreciate the numbers that were presented today before public comment, though I wish the comparisons were more apples to apples. I agree with the previous callers. For example, there was really no way to compare anything in those. Like, for example, demographic changes to the same school with different plans instead of comparing two different schools. We don't know what it was before, what it is without the plan, what it is with the plan, et cetera. In general, I think we could have avoided a lot of animosity amongst parents had these numbers been posted on the website after the last board meeting or even after the committee meeting last week. Dropping changes on the community with no data doesn't do much for the We Are Cherry Hill environment we're trying to foster. It creates a lot of rumor, a lot of guessing, because we don't have a choice but to guess and look at the former information we were given. And try to extrapolate from that. Having data helps everybody, even if it's rough data. I'd also like to know what you think the projection is for open enrollment to high school with this plan, which is already very lopsided. Which brings me to another point that I agree with others who spoke about the point that the plan further economically divides the district and should not. There are a slew of problems with that, which is why you were mandated to look at the demographics. Ultimately, I care less about what school students are districted to than that every school has equitable programming and equal educational outcomes. What are we going to do to ensure that all students have the opportunity and support to perform to the best of their abilities? And finally, procedurally, and this has nothing to do with the actual people sitting on the board, but I think the bylaws need to state something about individuals on the board not voting for things that are going to directly affect their child in that moment. Basically voting for or against their child's interests.
Thank you, Mrs. Becker. We'll go back to the room. Anyone would like to speak, please approach the podium. Going once, going twice. Okay. We'll go back to the line. We do have another hand up, so if you want a chance, you still got a chance. We'll go to Julie R. again, back on the line. If you would state your name The hand went down again. Julie, if you want to
Oh.
speak, please speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, if you just say your full name, municipality, and the item you're speaking to tonight, please. Thank you.
Okay, great. Julie Robinson, Cherry Hill, and I'm speaking on 21.3. I just want to express my support for the revised plan. I think that with moving Knight to Rosa, I'm pleased to see that the student populations at the three middle schools are now comparable, that they are all under capacity. And I think most importantly, that it leaves space for special ed programs in each of the middle schools. I know that's been a high priority for special ed families. I think it should be an important priority for our district at all levels, elementary, middle school, to enable special ed families to send their children either to their neighborhood school or somewhere close by. And I think that under the prior plan, so many of the special ed programs would be focused on the east side, that would present a problem for a lot of our families. So I do support the plan as it was read tonight. And that's all.
Thank you. I'll return back if anyone wants one last chance in the room. And we always have second public comments, so this isn't your last time to speak, but it's your last time during first. Okay, I'm going to I see no hands up and I see nobody at the podium, so I'm going to close public comment and we will move on to our board work session. And I'm going to ask Mrs. Winters to please start us off with the report from the committee curriculum instruction meeting that you had last week.
Sure, thanks so much. So curriculum and instruction met last week. The first thing that we heard about was a presentation with information from the School Start Times Committee. And I'm going to throw it to Dr. Morton, who reported out to CNI about that committee's deliberations and conclusions, recommendations for the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Winters. Yeah, so the school start time process has been a very involved process. We began in August of 2021, I believe the timeline was. The process has seen us administer 5 separate surveys, hear from over 10,000 community members, and receive a tremendous amount of feedback. Last year, we put together a school start time steering committee. Myself and that steering committee have invested over 40 hours of time, eyeball to eyeball time, where we worked through coming up with various recommendations and things. For this year, we had put together 4 recommendations last year and presented those to the board and to the community. We were asked to go back to the drawing board and take a look at moving elementary school start times first. And our steering committee came together to do a thorough examination of that. The steering committee broke into 3 subcommittees based upon the areas that were of greatest concern. Those areas were what to do with our athletics program, how to mitigate challenges around transportation, and then how to handle challenges around childcare. As the subcommittees worked through the details, they realized that there are so many things that are still unsettled. There's legislation that exists. There are deficits in bus drivers, the availability of bus drivers. And then there's a real desire, if we're going to do anything with elementary times, to ensure that we can provide childcare before and after school for community members. For that reason, the School Start Time Steering Committee has asked the board for more time to invest in the process, let these things that are uncertain right now settle, and once they settle, to be able to come back together and to move forward in the process. The committee wanted me to relay and wanted the board to understand that they are taking this serious and they have taken this process very seriously, and they want to ensure that they can offer the community the best recommendations possible. But I would like to personally thank Aiden Rude, Gina Liu, and the Cherry Hill students for earlier start times for initiating this conversation. This conversation started through the exhibition or expression of voice through these students, and they were a part of the process as well. And as I've said before, one would never know who the children or who the adults were that were part of our steering committee, because the children were, the young people were truly outstanding. So it was inspiring for me to be a part of this.
Thank you so much. And the committee and the board really appreciate the work of the Start Times Committee. It's been a really long journey for you. And we understand and accept your recommendation to give a little more time to marinate because there are so many confounding factors before we can really move forward with a solid recommendation. Thank you so much for that. So following the discussion on start times, we moved to the committee's discussion on academic achievement, which is going to be our priority going forward. The committee kicked it off by talking about how the many different ways in which you can define achievement, how it can be measured, and how really we can think about raising achievement for all of our students so each and every one can achieve their potential, and how we can allocate resources going forward to make sure that the students who need the most help are getting it. So that's really just the beginning of a long conversation that C&I is going to have going forward this year. And the committee is really looking forward to delving deeper into these issues with our administrative helpers and friends. So thank you so much.
And I don't know, Mrs. Winters, if you want to ask for any other.
Committee members, would any other committee members, sorry, this is my first time doing this. Would any other committee members like to add to our committee's discussion or have any comments going forward?
It's mine too, which is why I was a little hesitant.
Thank you, Ms. Stern.
I got the nod of yes, you're on the right track. So
Thank you for
I'm
the
going with
assist.
that.
I do appreciate it, always. Any other committee members have anything to comment about our committee? Thank you so much.
I actually have a comment,
Oh.
Mrs. Winters.
Excellent. Wonderful.
I just want to say a couple things. First of all, I think, there's a lot of discussion about the fact that we've got to look really closely at academic achievement, and we've got to start to have some really concrete goals and a clear direction. And one thing that was mentioned in the meeting is that there is absolute effort between amongst the volunteers on the board, as well as the administration, to have further discussions so that next time when we do meet in committee, we will, I think, have a little more concrete to kind of bring to the table, if I got that right.
Yeah, I think so. I think, our January meeting was really the first meeting of the new committee members and sort of setting the table for the discussions going forward. And my hope is that the committee is going to be a place where over the next 6 months to a year, we have focused, forward-moving discussions about academic achievement, and really that everything that committee does relates to achievement. And that includes setting both short-term goals and strategies and long-term goals and strategies to boost achievement for all of our students in Cherry Hill. I mean, that is, I think, the board's primary focus. The committee is happy to take the ball and run with it, and really dig deeply into these issues this year. We're looking forward to it. Ms. Elmore Stratton.
That was a great summary, Mrs. Winters and Ms. Stern. I just want to add that one of the other things we discussed in that meeting is the challenge of the conversation of achievement, as we have especially meetings that are public and have to have folks involved. And so I did want to mention, and because I really enjoyed that all of us that are in that committee, both admin and us, we all agree that we're going to make sure that we are speaking appropriately and respectfully when we do have those conversations, but also acknowledge that some pieces of it might need to be held not in public so that we can ensure that we don't let any of our own inherent biases speak when we're speaking in public, speaking specifically about certain populations. So I think that was really key and important that all of us in curriculum and instruction agreed that that needed to be priority as we have these conversations as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Stern.
I just want to make a comment about start times, and Dr. Morton. And, I really appreciated, I said this in the committee meeting, the amount of work that went into it. It's a very hard thing to do all that work, to have all these students, or some at the table with us, who, were involved and initiated this, and then to recognize that things have changed, especially with the potential that we're facing, that there may be legal mandates that to start something and make a change, and then a few months later find out, oh, now you have to do something different. It's really hard. I live it daily. I have, 3 teenagers, 2 are high schoolers, and it is a struggle. It is why I get up a lot earlier than I want to have to get up, because I don't have to get up as early for work as they do for school. And trust me, I hear it at the dinner table about the fact that start times are not being moved. But we have to do as board members what is best for all of our students. And we have to make those decisions regardless of our own experiences and our own families. So I keep that in mind. And that said, I really want to acknowledge that it's difficult to not be moving forward at this time. And there was a whole lot of excitement about this. I'm really, really hopeful that we're more on a pause rather than not moving forward at all. I think that we just kind of need a little more time to get this right. So thank you, Mrs. Winters.
Thank you. Aiden Root.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment about school start times as well. As Dr. Morton mentioned, I was on the committee. First of all, as he mentioned as well, I just wanted to again state that it was really 40 hours and not just 40 hours total. That was 40 hours just in the room. It's probably more like 100 hours when you consider all the work done to prepare to be in that room. So it was quite an endeavor. And, as Ms. Stern said, I too am hopeful that it is a pause and not a stop. And really, I ask and I challenge the board members to ensure that that is the case. As I have talked to students, and as Ms. Stern mentioned, certainly as I've talked to students, like it sounds like some of the students and kids she was talking to have said, there's disappointment that this isn't going forward right now. But also, as I've had those conversations, students take that as it's not going forward at all. Some of the people I've talked to, people say, oh, wow, like we had all this momentum. We thought it was going to happen. Now it's never going to happen. That does not need to be the case. That should not be the case. And it is up to this board to make sure that that is not the case. Because again, we're not stopping this because we decided we shouldn't do later school start times. We're stopping it, pausing it, because we recognize that there are factors that need to play out first. There's redistricting. There are ongoing discussions about childcare and funding and staffing for those programs. There is legislation that may require the entire state to change school start times. We had proposals that said, let's make an 8:15 high school start time. If the state then passes a law saying you have to start at 8:30, we're going to have to do an entire additional transition. So my point is, there was no factor in this that said that we should not continue to pursue this, simply that we cannot do it right now. And I think it is easy to lose sight of why we were pursuing it in the first place, because I'll say as a committee member, as I was sitting in that committee, it felt almost like at times I had to remind myself why we were doing it, because you start in a committee like this by saying, here are all the good things about later school start times. And then you kind of move on because there's not much more to say about, yeah, all the data shows we should do this. You don't need to continue discussing that point. You then need to discuss how to do it. So then we spend 39 hours out of those 40 discussing all the problems. But that doesn't make those problems more important than the hour we spent discussing the massive body of research that shows why we were going to do this in the first place. Student health and safety is harmed by school start times that are not in line with the recommendations. And so I again just urge the board to stay on top of this and make sure that in a year or two, it is a renewed priority to get those start times in line with what is best for student health and safety when it is appropriate and best for the entire community to do so.
Thank you, Aiden. Dr. Root.
I just want to, well said, Aiden. I just want to reiterate one point because I think it's an important one. This at the state level, they're considering setting regulations around school start times for high school. That's a pretty important thing because if we do it wrong and change things, this is such a big district. It's really hard to just pivot and do it again. Which we would have to if it wasn't in line with the state. So for all the students out there, the high school students that want later school start times, call your state government, start calling your legislators and pushing them to get this legislation through, because once we know what they're going to do, then the board can maybe make some hard decisions. But that was for me, at least personally, that was one of the biggest drawbacks, and I understood when the committee came back with their recommendation that it would be pretty hard to do anything right now without knowing that piece. So that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else on CNI? All right, wonderful. Thanks so much, everybody.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Mr. Mayor. If you can, please give a report, committee report from Business and Facilities.
Sure, happy to do so. Business facilities met last week. It tends to be sometimes less dramatic and drier than some of the other committees, which I'm going to give Ms. Sugars and her staff a lot of credit for. A lot of work goes into making sure, and that's not excuse. I will take credit for it being dry. We like it that way because that means the work was done ahead of time. And Ms. Sugars is always prepared to give us information that we need with regards to where things stand with the budget. And specifically, there was discussion on where we are now. We're currently preparing to finalize the budget, and there are some issues that we're prepared to go forward and submit all of the information into the budget calculator by the state, but that has yet to be opened up. We're apparently maybe 1 or 2 weeks away from that being available. However, all of the departments throughout the district are ready. All of the data that Ms. Sugar's team needs in order to be able to move as soon as the state opens up the budget portal is ready to go. And that's really all that we can ask, that they are prepared and they're ready to move. I believe that as of now, there has been a budget freeze with regards to the district put in place to ensure that the numbers remain stable. There's no surprises between now and then. And we also had some update from where we stand on the likely health benefits changes coming for next year. We've talked openly in meetings about the fact that there likely will be a fairly large increase that the district is going to have to absorb. And we learned somewhat recently that the loss ratio that the insurance companies, all insurance companies use them, has not improved really at all. And in fact, it may have moved even a little bit in the wrong direction, although it is too early to make any final predictions about that because the last set of data from December has yet to be reported. So there's still a possibility that things can move in our direction. If they do, then we're hopeful that whatever increases we may be looking at may not be quite as large as anticipated. That said, we know that the numbers are probably going to be a little bit on the large side, but this is not a surprise, and we're moving to be prepared to handle that. We also had an update on our grant writer, Bruno and Associates. This is not a new discussion as well. The grants that came in last year were uninspiring, to say the least. The numbers weren't what maybe we had hoped to be. We have been in ongoing discussions with them to determine, is there something that we can do on our end? Are we providing the kind of information maybe that would help them identify a wider variety of grants that the district can take advantage of? So, and certainly we're happy to do that because at the end of the day, we would like them to be successful. The more successful they are in identifying grants for us that we can take advantage of, then the more successful the district will be. That said, we have communicated to them, that we were looking for better production, and we are looking for better production. This is the last year of their 2-year engagement. They're interested in continuing their engagement with us, but they're now aware that if their performance does not increase, that we're probably not looking too kindly upon that. So discussions will continue as to whether or not we move forward with Bruno. We go out with a bid for another external party, or perhaps take that work in-house to find a grant writer. That said, there are some grants that are still out there that we're waiting for results